So moved.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Ms. Burbine,
Aye.
Ms. Lampert,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein.
Aye.
Thank you. Unanimous. All in favor.
All right. Our first item on the agenda is the public hearing, Scenic Road, 533 Country Way. Assessors map, block lot 26-2-5, applicant owner John O'Keefe, P&J South Street LLC. In accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 15C, the Scenic Road Act, and Mass General Laws, Chapter 87, Section 3, Public Shade Trees, the Planning Board, in conjunction with the tree warden, will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 8, at 2021 at 6:30 p.m. in the Select Board Hearing Room, 600 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, Scituate, Mass. The subject of the hearing is the removal of approximately 27 linear feet of concrete wall and removal of a 16-foot maple tree in the public right-of-way of Country Way for proposed common driveway to service 2 lots at 533 Country Way for applicant John O'Keefe, P&J South Street LLC. Work is located on the assessor's map 26-2-5. Plans are available for review in the planning board office, Town Hall, 600 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, Scituate, by appointment only. Participation in the public hearing for abutters and other interested parties will be via remote access only. Please call the planning board office at 545-8730. Thank you. We have a letter that was received on Tuesday, April 6th. We received the letter regarding the 4/8/21 planning board meeting for 533 Country Way. Bob and I have serious concerns with removing 27 linear feet of concrete wall, the existing driveway, and a 16-inch maple tree. The wall acts as a retaining wall that holds soil, plants, and trees that helps with water that flows through the property. We are very concerned that removing them will cause water damage to our property, which is directly across the street from the wall. Can you tell us if this wall is within the required distance of the wetlands on our property? Has it been reviewed by conservation? We would like assurance that the developer will not be allowed to hook into the stormwater pipe that runs through an easement the town has on our property, 526 Country Way. We are also concerned that rats or other wildlife have infested the existing building. Has this been looked into by the Department of Public Health? We want to make sure it is exterminated if need be before torn down. We do not want infestation on our property as a result of the tear down. In the past, other builders have had restrictions on parking on Country Way. Will that be the case with this property as well? Please share our concerns with the planning board at the 4/8/21 meeting. We appreciate your consideration and look forward to your feedback. Thank you, Tina and Bob Davin. All right, first, I must say that I really feel very strongly, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, that we need to continue this public hearing on this scenic road, the cement wall, and removal of the tree because of the scope of the project at hand. We don't know what would happen if that wall were taken down. DPW needs to comment on it. It's holding back everything. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this. So I'll turn this over to Karen.
I sent out an email to the board. In actuality, the removal of the concrete wall is not subject to the Scenic Road Act. We advertised it because that's what the application said, out of an abundance of caution. The only thing that is the subject of the Scenic Road Act is the 16-inch maple. And as the project is in a state of flux, I really think that the board, I would recommend you continue this till we find out what's going on with the project, where things are going to be located, because the tree is holding up part of the slope. In response to the letter you received, I did reply back to the Tina and Bob Devon that of course the Board of Health makes them do pest control and asbestos, all that is part of any type of demo project. And we refer this to the DPW. The wall is in the DPW layout, so therefore they're going to have to make some determinations. But I would strongly urge the board to continue the scenic road hearing at this point in time, because you really don't know what is going to happen with the project and what is going to, and thus, you know, the impacts of the tree on the slope, etc.
Thank you. All right, Patty?
I agree that we should probably postpone it till we have a little more information.
Rebecca?
I'm gonna defer to you, Ann, and agree with you on this one.
Thank you. Steve?
I tend to agree as well. It sounds like the wall issue has to be dealt with first, and then we can deal with other things. And that sounds like that's an issue that the applicant has to talk directly to the DPW about in the town. So it would be good to have a game plan there first before we do anything else.
Bob?
Yeah, I agree with you and Steve on that.
Ken?
Yeah, I think I'm also generally in agreement with what's been said. I think waiting till we get a more firm comment and decision from DPW, and also, you know, a little bit more detail on how this is going to progress into a common driveway plan, so we can kind of really see it on paper, would be helpful. I was curious, Karen, or to the applicant, do you know what species of maple tree it is? Or is it just, because it just says maple, I don't know.
It just says 16-inch maple. I didn't go out and look at the tree that closely. I mean, technically you did receive a comment from the, you know, acting tree warden that he supports removal of the tree.
Right.
However, you know, there are implications. Maybe Mr. Marabito can identify what species of maple it is.
I'm not sure what the species is, Karen. But, you know, in any event, just for the board's knowledge, on Monday, the common driveway permit application was actually withdrawn. The applicant picked up the application, and the reason for that is because the common driveway that was proposed to go up the center line of those two lots is no longer going to happen. What he's proposing to do is to use the existing driveway for the common driveway access to the property. And in doing so, that existing cement concrete wall will not have to be touched. We're going to go right up to the end of it. So the common driveway that we talked about 2 weeks ago, going up the middle of the lot, is no longer being proposed here. We're going to resubmit the common driveway application using the existing driveway.
One thing, Paul, you need to keep firmly in mind, you have no access on that lot as long as that cement wall is there.
And
And
I mentioned the cement wall the cement wall doesn't need to be touched. Later this afternoon, I emailed a set of plans of the proposed common driveway. It isn't public yet, but you know.
Well, you cannot have a common driveway to a lot that does not have access. And that lot does not have access as it exists today. Karen, would you care to opine on that?
I think that, Paul, you and I had discussed that perhaps we ought to have a meeting offline on this, because the board has not seen what you submitted today as a sketch plan. And I think that this is the best conversation to have offline, because we still have to run what you submitted today by town council.
All right.
Even though we're using the existing driveway.
Paul, I think we ought to talk about access at another time. This is a scenic road hearing.
Okay.
All right, is there any public comment on the scenic road only?
If you're in the public and you would like to make a comment, you can do so by going down to the participants line on your Zoom and raising your hand, or if you're on the telephone by hitting *9 to raise your hand and make comments. So we'll take public comment at this time. I see no public comment.
Okay. All right, then what we're going to do is continue this public hearing, and I move to accept, hopefully, Paul, you will do this, accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing for the scenic road and public shade tree for property located at 533 Country Way, parcel 26-2-5, until May 27th, 2021 at 6:30 PM, and continue the time for action until June 11th, 2021. Is there a second for discussion?
Second.
Further discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Ms. Burbine,
Aye.
Ms. Lampert,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein.
Aye.
Thank you, unanimous, all in favor.
Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is an A&R for 60 Country Way. Is Mr. Fagan, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you are just moving a lot line around, is that what you're doing?
Correct.
Okay, Karen.
He's just moving, adding a little bit, taking a little bit of land away from 8 Union Street, adding it to the rear property line at 60 Country Way. It's an internal property line change that does not affect the frontage of the lot. So I would recommend the board endorse.
Any discussion from the board? Okay. I move to endorse as approval not required an A&R plan of land 8 Union Street, 60 Country Way, Scituate, Mass., stamped by Lloyd J. Lowell, PLS of J. Lowell Associates for applicant Charles and Ann J. Fagan and owner First Light Realty LLC dated March 30, 2021, as the division of the tract of land shown on the accompanying plan is not a subdivision because it shows a proposed conveyance or change in lot line which does not alter the existing frontage required under the Scituate zoning bylaw. The note that the planning board endorsement of this plan is not a determination as to conformance with zoning regulations will be added to the plan. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Ms. Burbine,
Aye.
Ms. Lampert. Ms. Lampert, can you unmute yourself?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein.
Aye.
Thank you, unanimous, all in favor.
All right. Thank you, Chick.
Thank you very much.
All right, our next item is a discussion vote for Curtis Estates subdivision extension. Applicant owner 90 Ann Vinyl LLC. And Paul, are you here to talk about this?
I am, and I believe Paul Sharon's on the line as well.
Okay. All right, I just have to tell you, gentlemen, having driven down to Curtis Estates this afternoon, I'm just really disappointed in this development. I really am. The stone wall had rocks fall out of it 2.5 years ago, and they're still sitting on top of the stone wall. We had such hope for this development, such incredible hope that it was supposed to be absolutely lovely. And I'm just really disappointed. You haven't seeded the top of the septic. I don't know, there's rubble, there's tree limbs. The place is a mess. So at any rate, that's my 2 cents on this before we move to the continuance. Patty, do you want to say anything?
Well, I just want to echo your sentiments. I had such high hopes and thought that these gentlemen who did so much work before us knew what we were hoping for. And I am deeply disappointed and hope they clean it up and get it moving fast.
Rebecca?
I don't have any comments at this time.
Dave?
No comment. The only thing I would say is that this looks like we're entertaining an extension for a full 3 years. And my question is, should we really extend that long?
Karen?
Well, you've done that in the past. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take to finish the subdivision. And, I don't know how long it's going to take to finish the subdivision. And it's probably not going to take an additional 3 years, but there's always glitches at the end with as-built and, approving the as-built, looking at the as-built, and potentially taking it to, going through the street acceptance.
Can the proponent speak to that?
Paul?
What Karen just explained is correct. They're in the process of constructing the last 2 houses, I believe. And after that, they'll start working toward cleaning up the roadway for final pavement. The owner does have a contractor in place to start the side work in the curbing on Ann Vinyl Road. And the plan is to finish up the homes and the lots, put the final coat of pavement down, and then apply for street acceptance. And that can be a fairly long process. So the 3 years in this case is clearly warranted. The actual construction should be done well before that. I believe they're looking to put the final pavement down in late summer or early fall. Some of the last 2 homes are built to the point where they can put the final course of asphalt down.
So Karen, well, I just want to follow up on a comment made there then. If the street is not accepted, does the permit expire? I mean, before the permit expires, then the whole permit expires? Or is
No,
that
I mean, I think Paul just explained that they hope to be done within this 3-year time period. If the street is not accepted, then the homeowner, it stays a private road and the homeowners maintain it until such time as it is accepted. So,
right. But that would be the case regardless. I mean, if they were done now and it hadn't been accepted, their permit would not have expired, right? They would just have to wait till the street was accepted by the town. They have
right,
to
but I mean,
until then.
you've given other subdivisions who haven't finished in the first 3 years and another 3 years. So
I just don't want them to take 3 more years to finish.
Well, and I think that Mr. Marabito just said they're not planning on taking another 3 years, but in all actuality, you don't want that top coat going down until everything is done, because if the top coat goes down and it gets marked up, dented, scratched, then until it's accepted by the town, it's the homeowners and the developer's responsibility.
Right, that's the case anyway.
Right, that's the case anyways, but putting down a top coat too soon can be very risky.
Right, Bob, do you have any comment?
No, I have no problem with the extension, considering the last 18 months or so have been kind of touch and go with construction, so I have no issues with it.
Ben?
No, I think the extension is obviously warranted given where we're at right now with the progress. I did drive up there recently, and I would echo your sentiments, Ann, that it kind of looks a mess up there, and it's really kind of, I don't know what's going on, but I would think there'd be a little bit more oversight on the site work as a whole. It looks kind of like a moonscape up there, but that's all.
I mean, I think the planning board is going to want to know the schedule for when the septic system is going to be reseeded and what accommodations are going to be made for watering, because town water shouldn't be being used. When the sidewalk is going to be done, because we don't want it to interfere with school, and when the stone wall is going to be fixed. I mean, the basins, you know, all have to be kept up to par as well.
Okay, all right, Paul, can you give us any type of a roadmap as to what you plan to do? I see that Paul Sharon is with us as well. Mr. Sharon, do you have any comments that you would like to make?
No, except, can you hear me, Ann? I'm not sure.
Yes, I can hear you, Paul.
I mean, it's a construction site. We have 7 or 8 houses under construction. I mean, I don't know what you want it to look like with that going on. The issue of the sidewalk is we're looking for a contractor right now that will do it sometime in the summer prior to school opening. What else was it that you were asking? Time frame wise, we're planning in the next week or two to reseed the septic system. We don't have a plan right now for watering it, but we will.
Okay.
Clearly you can't grow grass without water.
This is true. But the thing is, Paul, I have to say that I understand that it's a construction site, but I wish that you all had taken just a little bit more pride in what you're doing. I mean, that the stone wall could have been repaired 2 years ago. So I know that's nitpicking, but still in all, you've sold a good number of those houses, and I feel very badly for the homeowners at this point in time with what's going on up there. But that's just my opinion, for whatever that is worth. Okay, anybody else care to comment on this extension? All right. Move to extend the time for completion of the flexible open space definitive subdivision for Curtis Estates at 90 Ann Vinyl Road for an additional 3 years from the endorsement date of 4/12/18 to 4/12/24, an additional 3 years from 4/12/21 in accordance with the applicant's request and condition 6 of the subdivision certification of action dated 2/20/2018. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Ms. Burbine,
Aye.
Ms. Lampert,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein.
Aye.
Thank you, unanimous, all in favor.
Thank you so much.
And could I add one other thing?
Yes, Paul.
The houses, with the exception of one lot, which will be started very shortly, are all sold. So we're building it out. By the fall, we expect, with the exception of that one lot, to be pretty much finished in there in terms of building. So it's not going to take 3 years. We're moving right along with it, and we'll clean it up just as quickly as we can.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. All right, we're now at old business, new business, et cetera, et cetera. Town meeting. Karen.
All right, so town meeting is Monday night. Like I said, we posted a meeting for 6:30 in the event it's needed. There's a large consent agenda. You can find that on the town website. They're hoping that this will be basically a quick in, quick out type thing. They do understand that some of the articles will require discussion. We assured them at the moderators meeting today that we have, we've come up with statements and we've come up with, we have the planning board reports, so you'll be in conformance with the law. We have 2 large graphics to show the North Scituate VCN. You had asked to wait until tonight to determine if you wanted the consultant to give a presentation. It's up to you. I mean, I'm not sure it's necessary, but we need to decide tonight so we can let the consultant know. There'll be also 8 sets of red line and clean copies of the North Scituate stuff at the town meeting because it was too large to print in the warrant.
All right, Patty, do you think we need to have the consultant make a presentation?
I'm going to say off the top of my head, no. I think Carrie could do a good job describing what we need.
Rebecca?
I mean, as long as someone speaks to it, I think that's good. It doesn't have to be the consultant.
Right, all right, Steve?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence on this one because oftentimes it's good to have sort of a subject matter expert there to interpret and respond to the questions. But if you're comfortable doing that, then.
Well, I think we can potentially ask him to come. I mean, I think he's expressed an interest in seeing what the vote is going to be. So I think he may come anyways, but, you know, if you just want him to be there and we have him in case we run into a problem, then we can let him know that.
Yeah, that would be my preference, Karen, is you don't have to design a role for him to present, but it would be good to have him there because there may be details that come up that he has a better sort of depth of understanding of and could provide responses to.
Okay.
Bob?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
All right, Ben?
So can I just make one comment? I mean, it's definitely a 2/3 vote because the way we structured the article, even though we went to 15 units by right, within a half mile of an MBTA station. So we have the 1 district and we have the 15 units by right as put forth in the acts of 2020. We still need a 2/3 vote on this because it's in with housekeeping and other changes that affect the VCN.
All right, Ben?
Yeah, I think given some of the nuances around this one and the fact that you know, it was the bylaw updates were largely written by the consultant, I kind of agree with Steve that it'd be helpful to have them at least present and possibly, you know, prepared to speak, but maybe that they don't need to have a formal presentation per se.
All right, then we will ask consultant Chris to attend. All right, thank you. Anything else about town meeting, Karen?
So please, everyone read the warrant.
Yes.
In the warrant, it lays out why the advisory board did not agree with the planning board on the sign bylaw. It lays out basically that they don't like the fact that signs have to be 10 feet off of a public way or public sidewalk. They think that impacts freedom of speech, but this is a public health, safety, and welfare requirement because a lot of times rights of way, the right of way is not to the edge of the street. The right of way goes beyond. So you wanted 10 feet was a number that was picked because the public right of way probably stops at around 10 feet. So it's a liability to have private signs in a public roadway.
And the other issue that they had to do with, as they put it, political signs after a primary in September if the person won, then they have to take them down only to put them back up again. But the major portion and the reason we're doing this sign bylaw is we cannot control content, and political signs are content. So I feel that that doesn't hold any water either. And if they want, they could amend to make the length from 60 days to 70 days or whatever, but we cannot control content. And political signs are content.
I think there's planned to be an amendment on town meeting floor. I'm not party to that and don't know the wording, but I've heard that there's going to be an amendment on town meeting floor.
This is probably one of the most controversial items on the warrant. It should be very interesting. Bring your popcorn for this one. Okay, Karen, anything else?
No, and then there's the other bylaw, the fair housing and affordability. I would anticipate discussion on that as well.
Okay, we'll be ready.
All right,
Minutes.
that's all I had for town meeting.
All right, great. Minutes.
Okay. I move to approve the meeting minutes for March 25, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Ms. Burbine,
Aye.
Ms. Lampert,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein.
Aye.
Thank you, unanimous, all in favor.
Liaison reports.
Minute,
Aye.
accounting.
My accountant.
Accounting, sorry.
I move to approve the requisition of $72 to the image resolutions for printing of the North Situate zoning map for town meeting for $1,667 to Horsley Witten for the peer review for Seaside at Situate Phase 2.
Second.
All in favor?
Ms. Burbine,
Aye.
Ms. Lampert,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein.
Aye.
Thank you, unanimous, all in favor.
Any liaison reports? I don't have anything to report.
I don't.
I have a couple things. First is, again, we're kind of in our second draft status of the master plan. So just a gentle nudge that if you want to review it and submit comments, we've set a hard deadline of April 26th. So just kind of putting that out there that that's coming up and that things will probably move fairly quickly, I hope, after that final round of comments is submitted and reviewed. I'm trying to think what else. A couple things to note that are relatively, they're water resource committee related and also town meeting related. The water resource committee has formed a general bylaw amendment to section 30660, the water conservation bylaw. And they've kind of put a little bit more teeth into that to raise the level of fines for offenders of the water ban, as well as kind of some implementing a little bit more rigid water conservation practices. So that's Article 24 town meeting, and I think just might be good for the planning board to review and just I mean I fully support it, but I'll let you make your own decisions. Also, the Water Resource Committee recently met before the Board of Selectmen, and the Selectmen kind of gave them their blessing to move on to the next phase of their water offsets program, which would require that developments of a certain size have to buy into, I guess, for lack of a better word, offset program to deal with the strain on our water capacity issues. So that's exciting, but still kind of moving on to the next step. And then lastly, I think on the town meeting warrant, there's also a citizens petition. It's not directly from the Water Resource Committee, but it's water related. And I think it's let me see if I can find it. 1 second. Apologize here.
It's the last article, Article 30.
Yes.
There will be amendments to it.
Yeah, so it's a water conservation mandate and rebate program, and it would be calling for water conserving and or efficient plumbing fixtures to be installed in all town multifamily and commercial properties on or before January 1st, 2030. So as well as a rebate program for single family residences in town beginning on January 1st, 2022. So it's an interesting proposal. Obviously, we've all discussed, I remember like during the Toll Brothers hearings, we kind of talked about whether we can mandate water conservation in terms of the fixtures and plumbing that would be installed. So it's there's a lot of kind of positive water conservation measures moving forward, but just definitely keep an eye on those articles in town meeting, as well as what's going on with the Water Resource Committee.
Anybody else? No. All right, I just have to tell you, Article 20 is sponsored by the Board of Selectmen, and it is to purchase the land up on Chief Justice Cushing Highway. I think the number's 453. You know, the parcel that we denied a year or so ago. I had suggested at the end of the last special town meeting to the town administrator that that land should be purchased by the town through CPC. And I put in an application to CPC, and CPC does have the money to purchase it, but it has sort of been preempted by the selectmen for the potential use of a water treatment plant on that property. So I just really have a problem with what they want to do. So I don't know how you all feel about it, but I'm willing to stand up and say, no, either that or it's amended to ensure that if a water treatment plant does not go there, that it immediately reverts to conservation. So that's how I feel about that project. And they wouldn't have known to buy that land, but now they do.
Yeah, and that land has been for sale for like, I don't know, 25 years. So it turned
That's
out
right.
no projects because it can't be developed.
No,
I mean, the tennis club wanted to go there.
no, the tennis club was further down the hill.
Even in that
And we
general area. But their argument was it wasn't safe for children. So
Right.
yeah, all right.
So and they were even talking about putting in a ball field
I know
on this
I've heard that
property.
too. Yeah.
It's just boggles the mind.
Isn't it pretty wet, that property? A lot of
No.
wet.
I don't,
It's
is
got
it
a
Karen?
perched water table. It's got a high water table, it's all glacial till, so you have, you have the perched water table.
So how could you build a wastewater treatment plant there? Most of those are 90% underground.
I didn't ask Mr. Cafferty.
Huh.
So yes, I had a chat with him this afternoon. And while I can fully understand, and I'm sure that he feels that he's right, I just don't agree with him. And so there you have it.
So yeah, what kind of a vote is that needed at town meeting?
I'm not sure if it's probably 2/3.
Okay.
I don't know.
But the town meeting, the article is just simply to purchase it, not for there's nothing stipulating the use, right?
Yes, for municipal use.
Yes.
For municipal use. Whatever that might be.
Yeah, that's very broad.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
it
pretty
is.
broad.
So,
And
So
just
you can do
and
whatever
just
you
to
want.
sorry, just to clarify, did you say wastewater treatment or water treatment?
water treatment,
Water treatment.
Okay.
water treatment
I was
plant.
gonna say, I don't know if you could permit a wastewater treatment
No, you
that
can't.
close to
No.
us.
No, but see, here's the thing. The water treatment plant that we have now is antiquated and needs to be augmented or replaced. And the land that's the Little League field was for that purpose. And so do we, sacrifice a ball field for water? So Cafferty wants to put it up on the hill because he can make it long.
Long.
Because you can make it what?
Stretch it out rather than putting one on top of the other as it is now. I didn't fully understand.
We need an engineer.
Then he's got to pump all the water uphill to it.
There you go. Makes a lot of sense to me. So at any rate,
Isn't there a house in between where that would
No.
be and?
no.
Yes.
Yes, there is.
There's a house at the bottom of the hill adjacent, directly adjacent to Tack Factory Pond.
Right.
Okay.
It doesn't quite pass the straight face test, as far as I'm concerned. But at any rate, I'll
So,
give my
Ian,
2 cents
Do we know how advisory voted on that?
unanimously, I think.
4. Okay.
I think it was. If not, it was, Karen, do you have the advisory board book in front of you? I didn't bring mine with me.
Mine's in the other one.
I left it behind.
Well, I think they're probably right in that if they're going to build a new water treatment plant, they're going to need, property for it. But it seems like, as much as I know people wouldn't like to see it, that the Little League field next to it is probably the best location.
Yes, I agree.
No, the advisory board 8-1 in support of the article.
Right, 8-1. So,
So if
needless to say, I will give up.
Little League field up there or something.
No, that's not, they wouldn't put the tennis club down the hill where that Tudor house is. There's 2 houses in there.
Yeah.
Because the children would not be safe. So you can't put a ball field up there because the children would not be safe. They could get run over on 3A.
They could.
So,
But the
At
tennis
any rate.
club's on 3A.
yes, but it's more in Cohasset than it is anywhere else. This was, you have no idea.
These were
That was-
eons ago. Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but the Little
Okay,
League
and
field is
anybody
already
with-
on 3A.
What?
The Little League field is already on 3A.
I know.
So
But
I
we could-
I don't know why it wouldn't be an appropriate place to maybe relocate the Little League field. That would seem to be a reasonable.
You can't put a ball field on a slope, Steve. The balls will be running down into the,
Well, and of
The
course,
reservoir.
you would obviously have to regrade
Fill
it.
it.
Yeah.
right, yeah, okay. All right. Anything else from anybody?
I just ask a quick question. I mean,
Sure.
I know I'm new here and I don't want to step on any third rails or anything, but why have we not considered tying in with the MWRA?
I think we're pretty far from where the MWRA is to start with. I think it would be.
I mean, Hingham's on their sewer
Mm,
and, piping and water from Quabbin might save
I think the water
the
supply,
exploration costs and, well
the water supply piece
down
of
the
it
road.
way away.
Pardon me?
I think the water supply component of it's a long way away.
Quabbin, yeah.
Well, I know Quabbin is, but I'm saying that, how much infrastructure would you have to run through how many towns to get to us?
Yeah.
too many. Too many.
And it also may be an issue. We would have to also pursue it with the DEP because it may be an issue of sort of interbasin transfer as well. I don't know if anybody's reviewed it. I remember the last time MWRA was talking about water, they were talking about potentially bringing water over to the new development at the old Naval Air Station. So I think it's up that far. Be a long way to go.
Plus, there's an article on the warrant in the capital plan for money to pursue the Dolan well site, which
Yeah.
is over between Ann Vinyl and Countryway and Hollitt Street. It's sort of in that locale. So there are 2 or 3 articles in the capital plan about water.
Haven't we already given money to that Dolan plan?
We did, and then we took it back, and now we're doing it again.
Okay.
Karen, you're on.
All right, so Toll Brothers is moving along with their development. That's all I'll say there. I gave you a copy of the comments I submitted for the project eligibility application for the cottages at Old Oak and Bucket. Mass Housing is having a site walk next week for both sites. And I'm just reporting that last meeting, you had a discussion about the lights at the senior center, and the Steve Kirby, the owner's project manager, met with the Scituate Police Department to review concerns regarding building security and timing sequence for the exterior lights. When the exterior lights are off after 9 p.m., the security cameras cannot clearly record any potential negative activity. The determination was to conduct a test period with various combinations of lighting, building and light poles to determine the optimal lighting solution. The first test will be to leave the building lights, the wall sconces and porch recessed on from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. for 1 to 2 weeks to experience different weathering conditions, excuse me, and observe the quality of the camera recordings. The light poles will remain on their current operating time from 6 to 9. That's similar to the library, and the neighbors will be notified prior to any testing. The LED bulbs in the wall sconces, the 3 of them, were replaced on April 1st. So the Scituate Police Department is concerned about security and lighting, and they'd like to try to do a series of tests to determine what's proper. Does anybody have any objection to that?
No,
I mean,
sounds like the right thing to do.
It sounds like I think it makes a lot of sense. I just told them I would run it by the board, but I think it makes a lot of sense to try to figure out, you know, what's going to be best.
I agree.
And that's pretty much all I have. We
Okay.
remain busy with all sorts of fun projects.
Do we have somebody calling in?
Yes,
Excuse me?
somebody is calling.
All right. Sure. Ask them. We have somebody that's calling in.
Hi, caller. We've just been unmuted. Would you like to identify yourself if you have a question or a comment for the board?
No question or comment.
Thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Ms. Burbine,
Aye.
Ms. Lampert,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. McLean,
Aye.
Mr. Bornstein.
all right.
Thank you, unanimous, all in favor. We
See you
are
Monday.
adjourned.
See you at town meeting.
See you there.